up, guys? Coming to you this morning, we're going to do a video. This video is going to be the February fighters of the month. I'm going to break down my top 5 fighters from the month of February and how they did and what they did, and see what you guys think. All right, so we start off with my number 5 fighter of the month in February. I'm giving that to featherweight former world title challenger Kid Galahad of the United Kingdom. He returned from his loss to Josh Warrington, his split decision loss last June when he challenged for the IBF title. Came up short in an ugly fight, losing a split decision. I actually picked against him in this one. He took on Claudio Marrero in an IBF final eliminator. So it was to determine the number 1 contender, and Galahad trying to get back in line to face Warrington again. Because he really feels like he won their first fight. So, he was coming in. I picked against him because of just plain out experience with Claudio Marrero. And he fucking proved me wrong and I think a lot of people wrong. He dominated Marrero. That's something Tutsko Nayanbayar couldn't do, who beat Marrero just last year. And that was just impressive. It was an impressive breakdown in performance by Galahad, as he stopped Marrero in 8 rounds. I was on a DAZN undercard on February 8th, and I just thought that was really impressive. So a nice win for him as he becomes the number 1 contender again and puts himself in line for a world title shot again. So, that was Kid Galahad. My number 4 fighter of the month. Sorry, guys, I'm a little off this morning. My number 4 fighter of the month in February is reigning WBC champion Gary Russell Jr. for his 12-round unanimous decision over previously undefeated Tutsko Nayanbayar as they fought in a mandatory WBC title fight. This was probably, since he won the title back in 2015, probably his second toughest opponent next to Joseph Diaz Jr., which he fought a couple years ago in 2018. I really thought that Nayanbayar, I thought Russell was going to do exactly what he did. That's what I predicted, but I did think there was a chance that Nayanbayar might make some noise against Russell, and he did do that. So pretty much this fight went exactly as I predicted, but Russell weathered whatever storm, and he actually dominated more cleanly than I thought he was. He avoided Nayanbayar's power until maybe the late rounds. He didn't really let Nayanbayar connect with big shots again until like the late rounds, the championship rounds. And Russell just, as he always does, looks good, and is one of the best fighters in the world. And he's my number 2 featherweight, and just a good, solid title defense for him as he holds on to his world title and hopefully pushes forward to finally getting something big later in the year. Now, my number 3 fighter of the month for February. Let me try to remember who it was, guys. Oh, it's Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez for his 8th round TKO of Khalid Yafai to capture the WBA regular super flyweight title. Now, normally, I wouldn't, I don't really follow these divisions, but Chocolatito's the exception to that rule because he's such a big standout name. He's such a big name for even a little guy. And he came in the underdog against Yafai. I actually picked him to score the upset here, and he did. Yafai, a good younger boxer, good amateur pedigree. And, Chocolatito, ever since he got knocked out against Sor Ruksunzai, or whatever his name is, a few years ago, he just hasn't been the same. He's a veteran, older fighter, been around a while. And I think a lot of people were picking against him. And he fought well. He broke down Yafai and stopped him to capture another world title. So big win for Chocolatito, setting up big fights for him in the future. I was really impressed by his performance, and we'll see what he does next. So congratulations to him. He's my number 3 fighter of February. Now, my number 2 fighter of the month for the month of February goes to former 4-division world champion Mikey Garcia for his convincing 12-round unanimous decision over Jesse Vargas in their welterweight showdown on February 29th. That main event at a DAZN card. It was a big fight, and it was a lot of people had a lot of questions for Mikey, myself included. I picked him to win the fight by a decision, but I didn't think he would. It wasn't a blowout decision, but I also didn't think it was going to be as convincing as it was. a lot of people, myself included, didn't believe, and maybe still don't, that Mikey belongs at welterweight and he can compete at welterweight. Jesse Vargas was coming down from 154 in his last fight. So, a lot of people were saying Mikey's facing off against a good, solid welterweight, and he's in trouble. I thought Vargas was going to put it on him and make it a really competitive fight. He did, but after Mikey hurt him in the 6th round and put him down hard and almost knocked out Vargas, didn't really seem like Vargas was a threat of anything. He won the championship rounds, Vargas did. He won the last couple rounds, and he looked solid there to keep the fight close, but I don't really think anybody was worried that Mikey was going to get knocked out or hurt at that point. So this guy just came in and really fought his ass off and fought well, and Mikey did, and really proved that, if built up into the division, if his body's built up right, he could compete here, because the Errol Spence fight, I think he just jumped in way too soon. Personally, I don't think he ever beats Errol Spence, but I think that fight's maybe more competitive if he worked himself up to that weight instead of just jumping the 2 weight classes like he did. So, good overall performance by Mikey Garcia, though. He proved a lot of people wrong, shut a lot of people up, and, hey, he could be getting a Manny Pacquiao fight for his great performance against Vargas. So, congratulations to Mikey. He's the number 2 fighter of the month in February for a 12-round unanimous decision over Jesse Vargas. But now, the undisputed February fighter of the month, without question, is the undefeated and newly crowned WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury, for his dominating 7th round TKO victory over previously undefeated Deontay Wilder in their rematch from their December 2018 bout, in which the fight was declared a controversial draw, a fight that most people, myself included, felt Tyson Fury won hands down. Wilder did score a couple knockdowns in that fight to somewhat bring the score closer, but I still don't believe it really mattered. So, anyways, that's what's going on. He is my February fighter of the month without question. This was a huge fight for boxing, a huge rematch for the heavyweight division and boxing overall. A lot of people tuning in for it, and I paid $80 and watched it on my phone on the way home from my son's baseball tournament. That's how much I wanted to see this fight. And it's not just because I'm a huge boxing fan. Actually, I think I take the opposite approach as some people when it comes to big fights and pay-per-views. Is I'm only going to watch it if the pay-per-view is going to be, if the main event's going to be really good, or if the undercard's going to be really good. And to be honest, the undercard, yeah, it had a couple decent fighters on it, but it really wasn't worth talking about, in my opinion. It was nothing to write home to mom about. No other big top 10 fighters. Our matchups, I should say. It just had Emmanuel Navarrete staying busy on it. So, for a fight to draw me in just for the main event, I paid $80 for that pay-per-view. That's a big deal. And I'm just happy that I'm fortunate enough to have ESPN Plus, to where we have the option to stream it and watch it on our phone. I think that's awesome that we can do that these days. But, huge fight. Tyson Fury wins. These guys are going to be fighting again, but congratulations to him, and he is my February fighter of the month in 2020. I hope you guys enjoyed this. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.